My name is Rafael, you're watching Rock and Roll Garage, and I'm going to shoot 10 incredible bands plus a few opening acts that Paul Stanley, the Kiss guitarist and singer, had the chance to see live before he was famous in New York City when he was a teenager still. But first, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave your comment. Let's start by the first one, Jimi Hendrix. He had the chance to see Hendrix playing live twice. That's right. Hendrix's career was really short as a solo act, as the Jimi Hendrix Experience, the band. And he had the chance to see him playing twice in New York City. This was back in the 60s, obviously. The band had Noel Redding and Mitch Mitchell still. And in one of the shows, the amazing Sly and the Family Stone was the opening act. And at the time, the tickets were really cheap. He said he paid only $3 to $5 for the tickets for those shows. He watched Hendrix playing at the Fillmore East, which is a very famous venue in New York City, which now is called East Village Neighborhood. And it was open from 1968 to 1971. And in an interview with Vice back in 2014, he talked a little bit about this, and he said, Hendrix was like somebody from another planet. God bless Stevie Ray Vaughan, but there wouldn't be a Stevie Ray Vaughan without Hendrix. It was so deep because it was so original. It crossed so many boundaries. There were no racial implications to what he was doing. He was just Jimi Hendrix. So he was very dynamic and made a huge impression on me. I saw him twice. I was lucky because in New York, you could see people play for 2,000 people or less. So he had the chance to see them, in small venues. So he had the chance to see them really close. And let's move to the second one, Led Zeppelin. You also had the chance to see Led Zeppelin at their prime. He recalled this in an interview with the radio 89.3 KPCC that we transcribed this interview not long after the reunion, the 2007 reunion Led Zeppelin had. And this is what he said. I saw them play for under 2,000 people, probably in 1968 or so at the New York State Pavilion, which was at the World's Fair in New York. It was close to a religious experience. I would count in one hand, this amazing spiritual marriage of sexuality and music. They were the embodiment at their height of everything. That's the essence of rock and roll. You can call it heavy metal or anything you want to call it, but the basis of it was Robert Johnson through Elvis, played through a big Marshall amplifier. It was pretty incredible. There were a few moments that I remember as turning points, defining moments. Watching the Beatles on Ed Sullivan was one of them. Seeing Led Zeppelin at that show was clarifying for me. It was, I would never be that good, but that's what I want to strive for. So this is what Paul said about that show, and he said many times, Gene Simmons also, that there will be no Kiss without Led Zeppelin. They're huge fans of Zeppelin. And the curious thing is that Paul became a really good friend of Jimmy Page, Led Zeppelin's guitarist and producer, and also songwriter, one of the main songwriters with Robert Plant. They became really good friends, and Jimmy Page went to see them. For example, during their final tour, the farewell tour, when they played in London, Jimmy Page was there at the VIP area, watching Kiss and enjoying the show. As you can see in this photograph. In an interview, then let's move to the next ones, The Who, with Buddy Guy as the opening act. Can you believe that? He had the chance to see The Who, and the opening act was Buddy Guy. It was in an interview back in 2000, actually not an interview, I'm sorry. He posted a photograph on his social media saying on Buddy Guy's birthday, he posted a photo with Buddy, and he said, I first saw Buddy April 4, 1968, and now at 83, he's still mind-blowing. He really was a big fan of The Who as well. Had the chance to see The Who with with them as the opening act. And you know, an interesting thing about Kiss and the Who connection is that if you went to see the Who already in the past decades, you probably know that during Lick It Up, the Unmasked era hit, in the middle, when there's a breakdown in the song, they do a mashup with Won't Get Full Again by the Who. You even got those lasers, those green lasers, like in the Who's official video. And by the end of that mashup, Eric Singers do that incredible drum parts that Keith Moon played, and they continue to play Lick It Up until the end. So it's a really interesting thing how they incorporated that part of Won't Get Full Again in Lick It Up. And that's about the Who and Buddy Guy. The next one that he had the chance to see, and a couple of years before Led Zeppelin, the Yardbirds, the band that had Jimmy Page as the guitarist. And he recalled in an interview with Joe Bonamassa in 2020 that were transcribed, that the opening act that night was Vanilla Fudge, a really incredible American group. And this is what he said: "I remember going to see the Yardbirds and I was thrilled to go. I think it was probably 1968. I was thrilled because there was going to be Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page together. By the time they hit New York, it was just Jimmy. Jimmy was playing Jeff's riffs. But the interesting thing was it sounded like Jimmy Page." So this is what he said about this experience. And he also recalled that he also paid a really small amount of money, like $3 to $5, to see the Yardbirds and all these concerts, which is mind-blowing these days, right? The next one that he mentioned, it was Derek and the Dominos, which was the band created by Eric Clapton in the 70s that recorded that incredible album, which was Layla and Another Assorted Songs. If I'm not mistaken, that's the name. I'm sorry if it isn't. And he had the chance to see Eric Clapton with that amazing band. And the opening act that night was Humble Pie, the band which was fronted by Steve Merritt, an incredible guitarist and singer who previously was a member of the Small Faces. And he was a huge fan of Clapton. And from the British blues players, he is a huge fan of them. Clapton, Page, Jeff Beck, Peter Green, those are all incredible guitarists that Paul Stanley likes. Let's move to the next one. I promise I'm going to be faster. It's Humble Pie again, the band that opened it as well for the Yardbirds. And he had the chance to see them. And he recalled this in the interview with San Diego Tribune in 2012, that he had the chance to see Humble Pie live again in 1971, where the famous live album, Rockin' the Fillmore, was recorded. And this is what he said. So he had the chance to see them opening for the Yardbirds and then as a headlining act. This is what he said: "I was there when they recorded. It was huge fan. I was huge fan. I thought Steve Merritt was the ultimate showman singer. He turned the venue into an evangelical event. That's one of those bands I still listen to. With Merritt, there was a tremendous, not only passion in what he was doing, but joy, a sense of acceleration, of almost him being lost in the moment. Not unlike what you see in Holy Rollers. There was something of a divine intervention, which I was blown away by, and his ability to capture an audience and pull them into his experience." So this is what he said about seeing Humble Pie live. And Steve was really, I think he's one of the most underrated musicians of all time. He was just extraordinary. His entire career is brilliant, and it's sad that he doesn't get the attention he deserved. You know, I think he should be up there with the great players in the history of rock and roll, and he tends to get a little bit overshadowed. And another incredible band he had the chance to see live was the Moody Blues, the British progressive rock, psychedelic rock group. He had the chance to see them in 1970 when they already had released classic albums like Days of Future Past and In the Search of the Lost Chord. Back in 2021, he lamented the death of Moody Blues drummer Graham Edge on his social media, and this is what he said. Rest in peace, Graham Edge. I saw the Moody's at the Fillmore East, March 19, 1997, and they were epic, sounded just like their recordings. Nobody could touch them at what they created, and to this day, you know them as soon as you hear them. This is what he said about the Moody Blues, which is an incredible band. I had the chance to interview the band's bassist and singer John Lodge a couple of years ago, and you can see the videos of this interview right below the video. Check it out. He told me which were some of his favorite songs of all times, his favorite albums, his favorite Moody Blues albums. And let's move to the final ones, which are Traffic and Iron Butterfly. Traffic was the band which had Steve Winwood, and Iron Butterfly, the band which became known for In the Gara da Vida, that long track, but it's amazing. He had the chance to see these groups back in that era, and he recalled this in an interview with Joe Bonamassa. This is what he said. At the Fillmore, at one given bill, you could see Traffic and Iron Butterfly, or you could see Buddy Guy and The Who. When you have a great meal, a meal has a diversity. I guess a breadth of different flavors. So you have your appetizer, entry, and your dessert. So this is how he explained the experience of seeing all these incredible artists at their prime. I mean, the late 60s, early 70s. I mean, he was really lucky. He saw rock history happening right before his eyes, and obviously every British group that would go to the USA or was from the USA would play eventually in New York City. And Paul was really lucky. I envy him for that, because I mean, all those great bands, and he had the chance to see them paying $3 to $5, man. That's unthinkable today, but obviously because the business model changed and etc. But it's just amazing, and I think it's really interesting. So we really selected this incredible, and these are just some of them. He had the chance to see many other bands playing live, but these 10 were the ones we selected. And if you want to read more about it, there's a lot of more good stuff about it. You can go to the description and visit the article I wrote about it in rockandrollgarage.com. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and leave your comment. Thank you for watching, and I see you later.